It is one of the hottest congressional races in the city. Dan Goldman is battling down to the wire to keep his job. The Point starts right now. Congressman Dan Goldman is in an intense face-off with Brad Lander to continue representing voters in Brooklyn and Manhattan. But I would like to start off with talking about the Iran deal that the president has just signed, which seems already to be falling apart after the Hezbollah attacked an Israeli tank, killing 4 people, and Israel responded. I wonder how you feel about the deal that the president struck.
Well, look, the president botched this from the get-go. And first, it was illegal. It should have come to Congress. And it's important to come to Congress because he would have had to bring justification and a plan. He never brought the American people along with him. He never explained his objective. He didn't have an objective. He didn't have a strategy. He was not prepared. So he got us into a terrible, terrible mess that, in addition, had such dramatic consequences on every American, with gas prices shooting up and inflation rising. So he got us into this mess, and now there's no good way of getting out of it.
And how about the deal that he's struck? Is that a way to get out?
It's not a good way. It puts us in a much worse situation than we were before the war.
Why?
In addition to all of the death and destruction and all of the economic devastation that he has brought on people who already were suffering so much from his terrible policies.
But how about his agreement that if they come up with this deal where they can take away the nuclear capabilities and the uranium from the Iranians, that he will free up money that has been withheld and give, I think I read it, as much as $300 billion to the area to rebuild. Is that a good idea, a bad idea?
I'm not putting any faith in this memorandum of understanding. There's 60 days to negotiate a final agreement. Let's see what happens. But remember, this president ran on a platform of no more wars. When he started realizing that all of his economic policies, all of his domestic policies, his immigration dragnet, and the Epstein files that were really starting to encircle him were causing him so many problems, all of a sudden he became a war president. And he started going to Venezuela, he started going to Iran. He has bungled everything that he's done. And Marcia, I will tell you, just seeing him recently, I don't know that he is well. I think there's something wrong that is much deeper than what we are seeing.
You think he has some disease, or he's just, he celebrated his 80th birthday? Is there a...
I don't know, but he's falling asleep everywhere, including in the middle of, loud events. And it's this is not, it's dangerous right now to have him at the helm of the most powerful military in the world.
I guess for a number of people, the question is, what about Israel, which seems to have been left out of this negotiation, and Vice President Vance warning Israel that the President Trump, is the only world leader who still supports Israel. Is Israel in danger of being left with nobody in their corner?
Look, we'll have to see what happens. I think there's always a lot of rhetoric that comes from it. But what I think is important, Marcia, is to remember that, and I see this from my voters and friends and neighbors when I'm talking to them, they are worried about the everyday consequences of this dreadful administration that has yanked away health care, that has taken food benefits away, that has helped to jack up rent prices. That's what people are really struggling with. That's what I've been focused on dealing with over the last 3.5 years. And that's what I have a real plan to tackle when we take back the majority in January.
So I was at a rally Thursday night with Bernie Sanders and the mayor And they were talking about the fact that they think that the Democratic Party has to change and represent more working people. I wonder how you feel about that. Do you think that the Democratic Party that you are a member of needs to change to adapt to the new times?
Well, I can speak for myself, and I'm incredibly proud to have almost all of the working families and communities in this district supporting me. I have nearly every single one of the 31 NYCHA Tenant Association presidents. I have the overwhelming majority of unions, 20 unions who are supporting me. I have Planned Parenthood, Sierra Club, Brady Action PAC. I have the community leaders in Chinatown and in Latino communities. I have been representing these working families. I've been showing up, I've been delivering for them, and that's why they're supporting me in this race. I agree we need to advocate much more aggressively for our working families. That's what I have been doing, and that's what I am prepared to do by making billionaires pay their fair share so that we can pay for programs like universal child care, which is absolutely essential and will revolutionize the lives of so many working families.
So when your opponent, Brad Lander, was on the show a couple of weeks ago, he called you a corporate Democrat and said that you're not taking on special interests. I wonder if you'd like to respond to that.
Well, I don't know what that means. All I know is that I have a bill that is called the Robin Hood Act that has interest and support from Republicans that would make Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, who pay almost no tax, and people like them, actually pay significantly more in tax because our system is rigged, it's unequal, and I'm trying to address that. I also don't know what it means when I have all of these unions, when I have all of these working class communities, when I have all of the public housing residents supporting me. I don't know what a corporate Democrat is, but what I can assure you and all of the viewers is I'm beholden to no one. And I do what is in the best interest of my constituents and my neighbors, as well as maintaining my own moral integrity. You will never hear me say something and then flip and say something else. And unfortunately, my opponent has been doing that frequently. So these are buzzwords to avoid talking about the actual job and the actual substance. I've been doing the job for 3.5 years. I know how to take on Donald Trump because I did it in the first impeachment investigation.
Yes, you did.
And I am ready to lead that charge for oversight and accountability, but also to push forward a bold progressive agenda that I have laid out and that my opponent has not.
So if the voter is undecided and they're trying to make up their mind between you and Brad Lander, why should they choose your experience, and you do have experience, and your record over what they think is time for new leadership?
Well, I am actually new to politics. This is my first elected office. I've been a public servant for my entire career. That's what I have been devoted to because I believe so much in the promise of America, having benefited from it, and there are just far too many people who do not get access to it. So what the difference is he is actually a longtime politician who is using many of the same much of the same playbook that people don't like about career politicians and wishy-washy and flip-flopping. But I am been aggressive from the get-go. And ultimately, Congress is a totally different animal. It was a steep learning curve for me. I know how it works. I know what levers to use. And I will be in a position to lead the oversight and accountability of Donald Trump and this administration, which, frankly, I'm not just uniquely qualified to do in this race. I'm uniquely qualified to do this in all of Congress because it is exactly what I have done for my career and what I have specific experience successfully doing and leading that impeachment. And he lost the election 8 months later.
So you're saying he doesn't have the experience to deal with things in Washington?
He doesn't understand how Congress works. He has had a long career in city politics. I wish, for his sake and for the city's sake, that Mayor Mamdani had given him the job that Brad Lander wanted in his administration. I don't know why he didn't, but he was very qualified for that and would have been excellent at that. Congress is totally different.
We'll have to leave it right there for now. But up next, why New York City needs to spend more money to get people to come here. Julie Coker is the head of New York City Tourism and Conventions. Marcus Samuelsson is one of the city's top chefs and a television personality in his own right. And I'm a huge fan, by the way. We came here to talk about the fact that you are lobbying New York City to give you more money in the tourism budget to help you. So my question is, why do you need the extra money and what would you spend it on?
Sure. Great question, and thank you for having us. Last year in 2025, we were fortunate to host close to 65 million visitors. 12.5 million of those visitors were international. So my first thing is international visitors come, they stay longer, they spend more. And so even though they are only 20% of the 65 million, their visitor spend is 50% of our total spend.
But why do you need more money from the city? Like, to attract them? Are there ads? Are there, what, I mean, you know, you'd think that people would want to come to New York because it's such a great place.
Absolutely. And so what I would say is there's no problem with awareness from domestically and internationally of where New York City is. What we have to understand is that the landscape is very competitive, so we've got to be able to message them. We're in a time right now where the international visitor, their sentiment of the U.S. and also of New York City isn't ideal, so we've got to continue to push out stories of why they should come, that a walk across Brooklyn Bridge is still the same. So to be able to market to them in their language, in their country, but then also to be able to talk to them domestically. The other side of this is to drive the right visitor to New York City, and that means a high-value visitor that is able to explore all 5 boroughs. So, for example, with
and spend money at Marcus's
I mean, tourism is a major part for us, hospitality, right? Think about, there's a big business. So think about Broadway, $12 billion a year. That can't dip. It's very important that stays the same or goes higher. For us as restaurants and small businesses, we are still feeling it post-COVID. A lot of businesses have not come back. So tourism is a key part. Tourism is a key part for us to do really, really well. And, you know, New York is the most exciting place on earth, and you have to remind people that we are welcoming, we want you back, because the messaging, just like Julia said, about coming to America has been all over the place for the last, for a couple, you know, the last years or so.
So, I mean, the question, I guess, is like, how many people that come to your restaurants are actually tourists, as opposed to people who know how wonderful Red Rooster and other places are and they want to come?
It is, you know, as New York, right, it's a melting pot, and you get the New Yorkers, and you get the visitors, and you get the tourists. And I would say visitors can be from Pennsylvania, Ohio, nearby, right? And then the tourists, which are here, they're staying in hotels a little bit longer. They are visiting. And when you come to New York, it's not just Manhattan. We want you out in Queens. We want you in Brooklyn. We want you to see the entirety of our city. And I think the tourism is really all about driving those visitors around the city to many places and spend and be part and enjoy the city.
Has it been difficult to attract international visitors because of the immigration things that have been going on, ICE raids and things like that, visa questions? Is that a problem for you guys?
Absolutely. There's a number of things that go into it, but certainly overall perception of the United States, including New York, is definitely not at a good place right now. We have to continue to remind them why they want to come to New York City. Then you couple that also too with currency fluctuation, the geopolitical tensions, the visa waiver challenges. All of those things make it even more difficult. The other thing, to your point of why, is we're talking about a baseline budget of $23.1 million that has remained stagnant for 2 decades. That is not
2 decades?
2 decades, 2006.
What has stayed stagnant? What would a cab ride be? Like, just think about anything. Like, nothing stays for 2 decades the same.
Say you got an extra $10 million.
Where do we sign?
What would you spend? Yes. What would you spend it on? I mean, what would this money buy?
Yeah.
And how would you convince taxpayers that they're getting the best bang for the buck for that $10 million?
Sure. I can very easily say that it is an investment and not an expense. And the reason why I say that is because our industry supports 400,000 jobs. 79% of workers in our industry are in outer boroughs. So we're putting money in people's pocket every time a visitor comes. The other thing that I would say is last year, $7.8 billion of local and state taxes came from visitors, which then allows the city to do all the things that residents enjoy, whether it's cleaning up garbage or schools or what have you. We do have very strategic sales and marketing programs so we could expand into other markets. We could also expand our domestic efforts. Right now, it's more of just digital. We don't have any commercials that we're doing, so we really need to go deeper. But then also, too, we want to get people, as Marcus said, to all 5 boroughs. And the way that you do that is consistent, long-term, sustainable funding, and you have to keep telling your message.
But are you going to be spending this money here in the United States, or would you spend it abroad? And if so, which countries would you try to attract to come here?
Absolutely. We would do a mixture of both, both domestic, because you think about that high-value traveler, so whether you're talking about the West Coast, Chicago, Atlanta, but also, too, that international visitor, again, is responsible for 50% of the spend. So we would look at the top markets like UK, China, Colombia, Brazil is an emerging market. Those that will come spend their money all over our 5 boroughs.
And people want to be part of a party. Think about it, right? This spring of the New York Knicks has been amazing, and it's being broadcasted all over the world. And now you're going straight into the World Cup. So people want to come to New York. It's just a very competitive market, and you just want to stay in front of people.
One of the things that I was struck by when I was doing some research was the fact that the number of hotel rooms has dramatically decreased this year compared to 2024. Was that because they used the hotels for asylum seekers, or is it just a decrease because you can't get the people to work in those jobs?
No, definitely. We are still ramping back up from COVID. And as you recall, there were a number of hotels that were used for shelter places. And so those are starting to come back online. We're also starting to see some investments in some of the hotels. So some of them are renovating existing properties. And so their inventory might be fluctuating. But we definitely have a strong workforce. And I know Marcus can speak to that as well, to support tourism.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, there are controllables, certain things you cannot control, but what we have to do collectively is to make it as easy and as simple as possible to come to New York, right? Because people want to come to our city worldwide. And there are new markets. Think about India, think about other places that maybe didn't tourist all the way to America before, now are coming. So there's a lot of emerging markets, and we have to be there, and we have to show up and show that we are welcoming, because it might be a new market for that part of the world.
Have businesses, small businesses like yours, had trouble attracting people to work in the industry?
No. I think there will always be a big workforce looking for jobs, and you just got to be attractive to that. I like to think about my business as not a small business, because it's the only business that we have as a family. And I think most restaurants, the 22,000 in New York, this is a small business per se, but it's their only business. So it's a big business in that family. And we employ so many people with the largest sectors of employers. And I think a city with vibrant hospitality community will help attract tourists as well. So it's a big part.
We're going to have to leave it right there for now, but our conversations continue right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Thank you for joining me. Freezing the rent became one of the key reasons voters elected Zohran Mamdani. But can he really deliver on the promise? New Yorkers are weighing in on your point. How do you feel about a rent freeze?
Oh, we would love a rent freeze.
You would?
Yeah, why not? Who wants to pay more for rent?
Sounds like a good idea.
Yes, please do.
I mean, wonderful.
I don't know anything about renting.
A rent freeze. I have mixed emotions.
Why?
Well, I know a lot of people who overpay for rent or are having trouble finding apartments, starting with my children who are in their 30s. But I also have sympathy for the small landlord.
Why would freezing the rent be a good thing?
Because people are struggling.
Yeah, you know, it's just it's tough times right now. It's very expensive. Everything is through the roof, so, you know.
People can barely afford to pay the rent they're paying now. If it goes up anymore, there'll be a lot more homeless people.
Because living in New York's really expensive, and I'm a young artist myself. I don't want to worry about the prices jacking up on me every year, sneaking up on me.
I think it's a terrible idea because we all need to eat. Don't you think?
And why would it be a bad thing?
I'm not sure that it really fits into economic sensibility.
It'll be bad for the people who own the buildings, the landlords, the hungry people who want all the money. That's what it's bad for.
Kind of keeps things stagnant, keeps buildings older.
It would be bad because if the landlords don't get paid, who's going to pay their mortgage? Who's going to pay their insurance?
So Mayor Mamdani campaigned and made a promise to freeze the rent.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be able to keep it?
No, absolutely not.
I hope he does.
I hope so. It's been looking promising so far. I think it's going to be very challenging for him.
Yeah, he's got a tough fight ahead, but I think he might.
He can try, but the way the economy is going now.
I don't think he has the politics aligned for that.
Well, I think Mamdani has good intentions, but it's going to be very difficult. But you never know. Miracles do happen every day.
You know, you should be careful what you say, because voters don't forget, and I think he's going to have an issue.
Will people be upset if he can't keep that promise?
Absolutely. He made a lot of promises.
They're going to be very upset. Very. Because we can barely buy food, let alone pay bills.
The whole point of this campaign was to say, I'm going to make the city affordable.
You know, we roll with the punches here then and we figure something else out.
Some will. I think others will face the reality.
Everyone voted on him on all these promises that he said he was going to keep, and I never thought that was really going to happen, unfortunately.
People are tired of being lied to.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Aren't you tired of being lied to?
Listen, it depends what happens. If he gets a 1 or 2% increase instead, and he's an extremely good communicator and he messages it well, I think people will be able to deal with it.
So will people be upset if he can't keep his promise?
I would be if he promised something and I voted for him based on his promise. I didn't vote for him, so.